The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe.
Greater Salem, New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce presents Success in the 603, a podcast focusing on Granite Staters who have had success in the public or private sector. We'll hear stories of how these people came to be, where they are, and what you can do to get there too. Sit back and enjoy. You are in wicked awesome company.
Yes, we are in wicked awesome company. I'm here with Alex Talcott. And my name is Craig Dufton. I'm a business owner here in Salem, New Hampshire. I own United Compressor. I'm also a real estate agent in New Hampshire, Massachusetts. And my partner, Don, is not here today, so I'm going to fly solo, but I think Alex is going to fill in quite well here as my co-host. And we're going to be talking today with Alex Talcott. He's a JD. It's a Juris Doctor for people who don't know, but we'll explain that a little later too. He's a family financial planner and a managing partner for Seacoast Financial Planning. So welcome to our show, Alex.
Great to be here.
You know, you've been on other podcasts before. I kind of stole you from our buddy Tom Duggan's show. We love Tom. And it's great to have you here, so thanks for coming. So I wanted to hear a little bit about your story. How did you get here? You're in Portsmouth. You live in Portsmouth?
I live in Durham. In Durham, work most of the time in Portsmouth. We also have an office in Boston. So
okay, and you live in Durham because you're also an adjunct instructor for UNH.
Yeah, I was late to the game in terms of getting involved in the University of New Hampshire community. My children went to nursery school there, and my wife was an adjunct instructor before I was. So I was the final wildcat of the family.
Now, or?
One of the great successes of 2018 is we've both been able to get her to stay home and be CEO of the household, which is
nice.
what she enjoys.
A very important job too, as well. But you're not just at UNH, but you're at other couple state schools too. The Great Bay Community College. Yeah. And no, not a state school, but my alma mater, SNU.
Yeah. I was over at Great Bay just yesterday. I'll be teaching business law again, spring semester there. And been with SNHU for 6 years.
It's quite a cool school, though, like Great Bay Community College. Is that really up and coming? And
it's a great facility, great new president. Of the 7 community college presidents in New Hampshire, 4 of the 7 are new this year.
Wow.
So you have freshman college presidents right now.
So it's like
Great Bay
is NFL now.
The turnover.
New coaches all the time.
Exactly,
huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So you're also, it says here that you're an arbiter for the FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. Talk about that really quick. What is that?
Oh, sure. So financial services is a self-regulating industry. So the Supreme Court has recognized FINRA, which is formerly the NASD and the New York Stock Exchange with their own separate rules. They became a single entity about a decade ago. And the SEC absolutely exists, but for disputes among people in the industry and with consumers in different places, arbitration is the favored way to go about things, at least as a first step, before you proceed to maybe involving the court system. So there are both industry and non-industry people who serve on 3-people panels where necessary to resolve disputes and to award awards from time to time. Frankly, these panels have not been very active since we're 9 years into a bull market. Usually we see a lot more consumer complaints when they've lost money and
people aren't losing. Well, in the last couple of months, it's been a little slow. But
yeah. Since October, it's been volatile for sure. But this is if you study your business cycles, this almost like defies the models. This is very, very long bull market.
Couple standard deviations outside of everything. Yeah. Well, so out of all the things you've done a lot of things in your life. You started you said you were born in New York City, or were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Queens, grew up Long Island. People like to point out that I lost the accent. So
it happens.
I saw a study once actually that the biggest factor in having a very heavy regional accent, it's not class, it's not education, it's intent to remain in the area. Oh. So if you really have one, what that really signifies is 5 years, 15 years, guess what? You're going to be there in that community. So I don't think I ever intended to stay. I
kind of lost my New England accent when I went to school in Pittsburgh. I was at Duquesne, and everybody just kept saying to me, "Hey, say park the car." I'm not saying park the car. And when I came back, I became more comfortable because I was around my people, and my accent started to come back. But I kind of went away from my accent because I just was tired of people going, "Oh, you're from Boston, aren't you? You're from Boston, aren't you? You're from Boston."
Yeah, my word choice is it's not really melting pot. It's more of like a very chunky gumbo. So I'll slip a wicked in there. But my best friend from college came from Texas, and so I say y'all. So
right.
Who knows?
I got a niece who graduated from Clemson, and she's from Connecticut, but she's full Southern. She's full Southern now. Even here, they live on the Cape, and they got that accent going.
Nice.
So what brought you here to the 603?
Yeah, so I Dartmouth College. When I was young, I remember picking up a college guide, 50 best colleges in America, and a lot of them were talking about graduate research and laboratories and things like that. And there was one school that was emphasizing small class sizes and things like that. And that's me all day. And the school absolutely fulfilled on its brand in my experience. My favorite class in college was a 6-student class. My second favorite class was a 12-student class that had 2 Harvard PhDs co-teaching it.
Wow.
So I was spoiled with attention in college in New Hampshire, and met my wife there freshman year too.
And you fell in love with the state, obviously, and now you're here. You've been here since then?
Did a detour to the
Chicago,
Midwest.
you said, right?
Yeah. So after college, Dartmouth doesn't have a law school, so it produced Daniel Webster, and but no law school there. Business school, medical, engineering, but a lot of people want to be lawyers who know that they're going to wind up going somewhere else.
Yep.
And so I really wanted to go to Notre Dame, dragged my wife out to the Midwest, and we were out there in Chicago for a few years, and then made it back here around 2010, 2011.
So you graduated from Notre Dame Law.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
You're going to be my co-host today, so.
I didn't say anything about Clemson, so.
No Clemson.
We did play them 1 point closer than Alabama did.
That was a tough loss this week for Alabama.
And people who go to grad school usually don't say we, but at Notre Dame, that's part of what's really cool is the law school is like immediately adjacent to the football stadium.
Sure.
And the marching band marches through an archway at the law school on game days and everything. And law students actually go to the games. You're very integrated into the university community. It's super fun.
Rudy's best friend was a lawyer when he went to school.
And supposedly that character is based on Federico Moreno of Florida, who's a federal judge now, and his daughter was a classmate of mine. He purports to have, he's a Cuban-American who went to law school and tutored Rudy Rudiger a little bit in the time. So
and he had a potty mouth like he did on this show too.
I don't know, but Judge Moreno, if you look, I forget what is on Trump's first list or second list, is on the not so short list for Supreme Court.
Right.
So you could have Rudy's tutor on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Just comes right around.
I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
So did you always want to study the law? When you were younger, did you want to study the law? Or when did you get that idea? Were you in Dartmouth and got the idea? Where did it come from?
Well, we were joking before the show, kind of like talking about like Tattoo and Herman's Hermits and references that predate a guy born in 1982. I was kind of always been an old soul, and that kind of manifested into an interest in the law. My mother's dad was a lawyer, and I was that kid, like I carried his briefcase around to school.
Nice.
And so, when it was time to do like mock trial when I was 8 or 9 years old, I was ready to. I was born with the jacket on and elbow patches and stuff. So.
I love the elbow patches.
Yeah,
can't really see them on a podcast, but on a podcast, hopefully they're going to enjoy them on Facebook Live. Let's see if we got anybody on Facebook Live here. So after law school, you're all done. You finish studying law out there in Indiana, and you get a job out there.
Yeah, Chicago. I was really, really lucky. I came out of law school in 2007. Started the 07-08 financial crisis. Not what a lot of our college students have the luxury of, being choosers coming out of school now. I was super fortunate. I got to work for exactly the kind of firm that I wanted, a 20-attorney trial law firm in financial services. So big enough to have sophisticated clients, Fortune 100 insurance and financial services companies, but not so big that they didn't need their junior attorneys to actually go to court for them. So in my first year of experience, I'm representing Fortune 100 companies and going to court 4 days a week. Oh. It was fantastic.
Just jumping right in.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first judge I ever appeared in front of. It was without any supervision whatsoever. He's an 84-year-old Polish guy, and he was mean. He had a snarl, and if he didn't like your motion or whatever, he would like literally throw it down at you from the bench.
Really?
Which to some people sounds terrible, but if that's your first experience, like...
Well, it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, your skin thickens rather quickly, yeah.
So how did it go, though, for you that day? Did you do all right? Did you get anything thrown at you, or...?
I don't think I did, because I got there early, and...
he got here to this podcast early, too, by the way. Just he's always going to come early.
Mr. Lutch, my old jazz band teacher in high school, to be early is to be on time. So yeah, I've always gotten places early, and it's a great thing to do in a courtroom because you can pick up on little ticks from the judges, right?
Right.
For some reason one word rubs them the wrong way or something, and better he takes it out on somebody else than you might inadvertently use the same thing. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So I'm going to read a little commercial here, Alex.
Sure.
We got some sponsors, and Armon Networks is one of our great new sponsors. They just signed up with us. They're based here in New Hampshire. They offer customized managing IT services, cybersecurity services, and structured cabling services for small and mid-sized businesses throughout New England. Armon Networks applies the expertise of their certified network engineers and information technology technicians, say that 10 times fast, information technology technicians, to completely address all of your IT needs. IT services, cloud services, network security, cabling, audiovisual design installations, and backup. So give them a call, 603-642-4010 or www.rmonnetworks.com. Thank you for being our sponsor. And we're back here with Alex Talcott, JD, Juris Doctor. If people know, that's someone who studied law, got a law degree. It's like the equivalent of a doctorate, I would assume, like a PhD or...
Yeah, no, as a professional doctorate, it's really nice. It means that you get to wear like the prettiest of robes at graduation.
Nice.
And you feel guilty when you have like your English PhD friends who like, maybe put 7, 8, 10 or 11 years into their dissertations and stuff. 3-year full-time degree, and you get to wear the pretty purple and gold. For those who like to play dress up.
Listen, there's a lot of people who like to play dress up nowadays, now more than ever. It's crazy times. So what brought you back to 603?
Yeah, I always wanted to come back to New England, Amesbury, Massachusetts originally, right on the border and everything. And one of the things that brought me to New Hampshire, related to Dartmouth also, is just being such a civic place. It's just an area of doers. If you want to get something done, you ask a busy person around here. And so I love communities where you have people involved with the chamber who own a business or two and are coaching their daughter's soccer teams and are on the board of the hospital and all that stuff. That's my vision of involvement. So I never really understood like as youth, you're supposed to study Benjamin Franklin and appreciate, all of his innovations and, organizing volunteer firefighters and all this other stuff.
Newspapers.
Yeah, exactly. And so if that's like a gold standard of things, why not go for it? And people around here go for it.
Yeah, it's definitely, they're still out there though. You find the Ben Franklins out there. You find all those people that are doing all those different things. And, when you read obituaries of people who have had these amazing lives and amazing careers, I think of my own father-in-law as one of them who, you're like, wow, how do you duplicate
Or they find you. I know you're interested in talking about like influencers and mentors.
Yep.
Somebody who I consider a mentor in New Hampshire is somebody who found me. I remember waiting online at a book event, and I was talking with somebody in line. It was an author signing, and a gentleman overheard me. I was like, "Oh, you already read the book?" And he was there with Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, who's going to run for president and everything, and he was interested in co-chairing his campaign in the state, and just because he overheard me, showed a little initiative or something like that, asked me out to lunch, and it turns out he's one of these people who owns a law firm, is on the board of a bank, has done really wonderful, generous things in the education arena in New Hampshire and everything. So there are strategies to find your Mauries, and sometimes they find you.
It's true. Very true. Who else is an influence in your life? What do you have for the other mentors?
Yeah. It's been interesting. I would say
your grandfather is one of them, right?
And he passed away in the mid '80s. So he's somebody who's like an unrealized sort of a thing. In many ways, I'm reminded by my mother how enriching it would have been to have gotten to know him better. But I've actually gotten to know him even after he passed. I was down in Washington D.C. a few years ago. And somebody who had clerked for his small firm that he ran was a member of Congress representing upstate New York. And I visited him and dropped off a hand note when you could still do that. Now they don't want you to drop off anything in individual members' offices, but just dropped off a hand note saying who I was.
They're not big on white envelopes anymore.
No.
There in Washington. So,
but how nice it was that they were okay with it then, because he got it, gave me a quick phone call, came right back, and. Nice. We kind of caught up, and I heard some stories that I had never heard before, about my grandfather. So that was pretty special. But more often what I'm finding is I haven't met a whole lot of people who check all the boxes that I'm looking for in my life in terms of involvement in my family's life and education and physical fitness and the freedoms of time with my business and everything. So I'm having to kind of patch together a lot of different people. We've seen.
That's okay though.
I think that's okay.
Taking the best of everybody and making it yourself too.
Yeah, if Jeff Bezos is getting divorced, as we see in the news this week,
right.
Anyone can.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing, huh? 25 years of being married, and next thing you know.
Yeah. I've known my wife half my life, and can't imagine.
I've been married for 28 years this year.
Yeah.
Myself. So
nice.
It does work out. There are those ones that do work out. So yeah, marriage is tough. It's a tough institution for a lot of people, and the easy thing is to just get out of it. And a lot of times it's...
I don't know how easy it is. I was talking with a divorce lawyer last night, and he said that divorce is the sport of kings, which I guess traditionally is supposed to be like polo, right? That's the game of kings or whatever. But he's like, no, divorce. If you can afford to do that, man, you're dabbling in something that is beyond making sense. Well,
I don't want to do it, so
don't.
But let's talk about other stuff that you're doing here in New Hampshire. What other involvements are you doing? So charity involvements you're involved in? Yeah.
I'm on the parent committee of my kids' nursery school, on the board of a large early childhood nonprofit with several centers in New Hampshire as well. I'm involved in a group called the Concord Coalition, which is a national nonpartisan fiscal organization which convenes a lot of former members of Congress on both sides, talking about how to solve problems, avoid breakdowns. Usually things that touch upon education, early childhood through financial literacy. Those are generally my sweet spots of involvement.
That just by choice, you just like to. Those are just warm your buttons a little bit. Yeah. There's a saying from Chris Matthews, who hosts Hardball on MSNBC, and in his book Hardball, before there was a TV show, he has a saying in there. It's like, if you want to build loyalty, ask somebody to do a favor for you. It's like not do something for people. It's like actually asking people to do something for you is really endearing. It makes people feel special. So I like to do things that I'm asked to do. Okay. I get a rush from it. It's not bothersome to me. Somebody texted a question, hey, pro bono legal question. I was on the phone with them within a minute. It's like, the opportunity to help a friend? Right. Live for it. That's great. That's a great way to live your life. Yeah. So early childhood is obviously, there's a lot of people asking for help in that stuff and in all the different areas that you've just talked about.
Yeah, and some of my involvement, I'll grow up, with my kids, I'll follow some of their interests and things.
So what about your political side? I know you've done a lot of different campaigns. Mm-hmm. I remember from when I was listening to your interview with Tom Duggan.
Sure. Talk
about that a little bit and how you got involved in that process.
Yeah, coming back from the Midwest, a lot going on in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and maintain a consulting business to be able to do some policy, communication strategy, a few different things for campaigns, other nonprofits, and small businesses.
How did you put yourself out there, though? Let me ask you that. How did you get these opportunities? Because we talk about this a lot on our show. Uh-huh. People are lucky. They luck into a lot of these things because they put themselves out there.
There you go. There you go.
You luck into these opportunities because you're there.
Yeah. And exactly. So Dad, if you're watching, classic person who doesn't give himself enough credit for putting himself in the position for business success. He works for one of the big 5 accounting firms, and he went to 4 colleges before he completed his degree, and he always thinks that it was so lucky that he landed with this great accounting firm. But guess what? At his university, he showed up at one of the lunches, and other people didn't show up, and so he gets the summer opportunity, and he's off to the races in his career. I was like, you showed up, So one of the things that I think that the media could do a better job of is maybe demystify some of the different organizations that host and facilitate even presidential candidate visits.
Yep.
So a lot of times, those people you read about in the paper who are hosting a house party for this candidate or that candidate, it's not so hard to find their contact information and invite yourself to their home to attend said event. So for example, on Saturday, I'm going to be hanging out with a good friend of mine, and the first time I ever met him, I saw in the newspaper that then Governor John Huntsman of Utah, now our ambassador to Russia, was going to be going to a house party in Newfields. And I was like, that's a town away. And, it's in the home of this young state representative who's a business owner, and I've been meaning to get to know.
So you had multiple reasons to go.
Yeah. In New Hampshire, you have the home address and the personal emails on the websites of the state legislature.
Right.
So it wasn't hard for me to, contact him and ask if I could come. And, one of the things that you find in New Hampshire is, sometimes inviting yourself to a party is actually doing them a favor, because they don't want nobody to show up. You know what I mean? If they're hosting somebody who's important and they're only sometimes 10 or 20 or 40 people, unless you really, really organize the thing, you're actually doing them a favor. And then if you get there and, again, show up early, you're really helping them, look like good hosts who are convening exactly what that important person is looking for. So it's like win-win.
So that's how it started for you.
I don't know when it started, You
just got involved in all these different
I don't know.
things.
When I was a kid, my name's Alex, and I was kind of always presented as kind of a little bit conservative with my manner of dress and my parted hair. So, people used to call me like Alex P. Keaton. And so, Family Ties. And then I remember watching Family Ties, and it's like, oh, who's that guy on the poster? William F. Buckley. I'm off to the races reading National Review and, things like that. So if you just kind of, before there was Wikipedia, it's kind of follow the hyperlinks of life using your 5 senses, you can learn a lot. Excellent.
Well, I'm going to do one more quick commercial, and then we're going to talk about managing. We had a couple of different topics that you brought up to me earlier on email that I thought we'd discuss, and then we can wrap up with a quote and some other stuff and some advice to people. But I wanted to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Pika's Restaurant. They're in Methuen, Mass., right on the border of Salem, New Hampshire, and Methuen, Mass. Wayne and Shane over there, and their whole group, friendly, homemade food, fresh all the time, great place. If you like playing Keno, it's a great spot to hang out and play Keno, good fresh food. And I just wanted to say thank you to those guys for being a sponsor of ours. And Ed, do you ever be eaten at Pika's yet?
I haven't, but I plan to based on your recommendation.
Actually, you're probably going to be able to, because Shane and Wayne are going to bring food in here for us one show.
Yeah, I mean, usually
I'm going to have them on here and
every
chat.
Podcast you mentioned that you had lunch at Pika's. So
I didn't today because I was a little under the weather, but I'm, as you can tell by my voice. But am I better? Okay, sorry.
Well, after everybody wins Keno, while they're there, they, of course, should go to seacoastfinancialplanning.com with their winnings.
Yes. Go to Seacoast Financial Planning. A little shameless plug on Alex's part, but we're going to get to that now anyways, because he does own, he's one of the managing partners of Seacoast Financial, and he has multiple businesses. So let's talk about the multiple businesses you have, and how do you find your day structured? Like, how does it go?
Sure. So Seacoast Financial Planning is our primary business. And we also have Seacoast Tax Services and Seacoast Trust and Estate Planning. So if you're really interested in family financial planning, it's more important than just directing people to, I got a buddy who's a great CPA, give him a call. Well, we care about that really getting done for people, having outstanding tax returns, having outstanding wills and trusts in place. And so we found that by having Seacoast as a brand and really having a very tight partnership and a lot of complementary professionals working together, people are able to check all those boxes. So those 3 businesses, contribute to each other very, very nicely. Most of our clients are super busy, and so they find it really, really convenient. And so we're happy to be of service to them. And also have an interest in a film project, real estate projects, a few different things. Building the right team allows you to take great care of people. And I know you have multiple business interests and projects as well.
I do.
And so one of my big things for 2019 that I want to talk through with people like you is for those people who know that we have different things going on, to not have them ever think that we are not open for business.
Right.
Like, I never want anyone to think, oh yeah, they're doing well, but like they're busy, they're at saturation point. Quite the contrary. In my business, and I'm sure in yours, because of what we've built wisely, we're open for business, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I love helping people find homes, and I also run United Compressor, which has been my father's company 20 years before I owned it for 20 years. And I have some great people over there running the show for me, and I work my office out of there, so it's kind of a win-win for everything as far as real estate goes. So and I'm involved in the New Hampshire Philharmonic, the Chamber, the Rotary. I mean, it just makes it easy when you're a small business owner. I actually have said this multiple times on this podcast, that it's your obligation as a business owner to be involved in your community, I think. It's just my personal belief.
I disagree.
You really?
I disagree. No, even on a chamber-oriented show, where I do consider myself a civic person like yourself, I'm probably in agreement with Robert Reich, who's the labor secretary under Clinton a liberal Democrat and UC Berkeley professor who actually says that he thinks corporations should be corporations and charities should be charities, and there should not necessarily be a required impulse to give back. It's like, no, if anything, you maybe have a fiduciary duty to your shareholders. So unless you really think that charitable thing is like sort of marketing or whatever, you got to make sure you're not violating a legal standard that you owe to your publicly traded company. So for me,
luckily for you, I'm not a publicly traded company, but
not yet. And you don't have to wait until you are to call Seacoast Financial Planning, which you could also get to at alextalcott.com. Just redirects to Seacoast.
So what else we want to talk about? We'll talk about building teams. You got to, obviously you've done that a few times over and over again.
Yeah, university affiliations help you get to scout talent. That's a pretty nice thing. Always trying to be of service, and I like people who aren't overly insistent on, I can do this because look at what my major was.
Right.
People have to do lifelong learning, and it's not about a few books that you read when you were a teenager or early 20s. That entitles you to anything. It's being inquisitive, putting things together, trying to keep up with cutting edge issues.
Nice. What about your chamber involvement, though? Are you involved in a chamber at all? No, not at all?
No, I'm not involved in Rotary or chamber. I think they're, from what I know and friends who are doing it, they enjoy affiliations with those companies, with those organizations. You just got to find the ones that are right for you. I know some networking groups are very young sometimes, and actually if you talk too much business there, it's salesy and it's not a great environment. It's more of like a social kind of a scene, and that's totally fine. You just need to be kind of intentional with where you're going, where you're spending your time. You never want to leave a place that's, networking is one letter off from not working.
Right.
So, you don't want to go to a place and be upset if you didn't come home with any business cards or set any lunches or breakfasts. You just got to be real. You don't want to go to an environment also that's, all woodchucks and no wood sort of a thing, If everyone is there looking to sell something, that's not very generous.
Services, then it's not.
Yeah, I mean that's not. It's not to say that you need to, like, some B&I business and industry groups actually limit the involvement to one or two people of a certain job type.
Right.
I don't know.
Rotary is more like a service organization.
Yeah.
It's not really networking. You do network, you do form friendships, you do form relationships, but it's not.
People join for all different reasons.
Yeah, it's not your primary goal. It was
not yours.
It was the original founders of Rotary. They were all getting together to talk about business and lunches, and
people join these groups at all different times too. I remember some friends who did have a tough time in some of the downtimes in the economy, almost doing things backwards. Like they were joining the Masons and Rotary and running for office to tread water until they found like a steady day job.
Sure.
So depending on when you came into these things or for what reasons, you never know who's there for what reason. That's actually a cool thing to do at events, right? Like, what brings you here?
Right.
What are you looking to get out of today? Not that everybody is so tactical about their time, but
it's true. It's true, though. You're right. I've been a long time business chamber member, and I find it to be pretty good, though, for just getting to know everybody else in the area, and knowing the other businesses that are in your area, who's there, what they do, and their involvement.
I was always interested, the difference between the National Chamber of Commerce and local chambers of commerce. Local chambers of commerce are small businesses, helping other small businesses, and a lot of service
and ours
projects.
Helps you get in touch with the local government, the state government. Keeps you informed on all of that stuff too. So it's educational as well. So.
Yeah, I always try to help students because sometimes in passing in the New York Times or on radio shows, they talk about the chamber, and it's kind of wait, why are you saying nasty things about the chamber? I thought those were the nice people who do chili cook-offs and stuff, and it's kind of no, they're talking about the national one, pro business advocacy organization,
right,
which has some of the most primo real estate in Washington. It's right across from the White House.
Nice. So how about any advice to any young students coming out of law school, or giving them your 2 cents on how they can achieve their goals or realize their goals?
Yeah.
Or set some goals.
I was going to say, in the spirit of getting to know whoever you want to know, go for the top, You'll have an easier time meeting the owners of business than you will the people who are on the first rung or two of that business, where, they're just kind of ingratiating themselves. They don't feel like they're in the position to do any favors or to act above their britches or what have you. anytime I've reached out to the top, those are those busy people who somehow find the time, make the time, got to where they got by always being so accessible. So like, don't hesitate to go and reach out to governors and CEOs, and you might just find that they will find the time of day for you, and they'll enjoy doing it.
They'll answer your call.
Yeah.
Answer your emails. Yeah, absolutely. It's good advice. Now, another advice. Let's hear your favorite quote. I mean, we talked about it before the show about getting your favorite quote, but we'll do the Santo Insurance quote of the week.
Sure. Far better it is to dare mighty things, win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy nor suffer much because they live in the gray twilight that knows not victory nor defeat. Teddy Roosevelt.
Excellent.
Long Island, New York.
Ed, he wins.
Yeah,
Alex wins.
He definitely
Alex wins. Quote out of our 10 shows, Alex has the best quote so far.
Yep.
Excellent. Well done. Now, what does that quote mean to you?
It's just kind of like you can lose, and you like ought to lose along the way, and you'll come out great. So yeah, Michael Jordan missed shots, Larry Bird missed shots,
Wayne Gretzky missed shots.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln lost elections. It's all right.
Well, thank God he lost elections. Otherwise, what inspiration would we have had to try again, right?
That's
People
right.
fail all the time. And
inspiration to Beto O'Rourke, your favorite.
Yep. So what about UNH? Let's talk about UNH.
Sure.
You a Wildcats hockey fan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Last game, skated on the ice after the game, which was like a really nice family-friendly thing that they had. And I remember telling people about it, and they said, "Oh, your kids must be so excited." I was like, "Yeah, my kids are so excited." I was like, "Are you kidding me? I'm geeking out for this like crazy." So yeah, I'm crazy. I only add teams that I root for. So I root for like UNH and Notre Dame and Dartmouth and my SNHU Penmen. Like every new friend who has something, I'm
a Go Penmen fan myself too.
Yeah.
I graduated from New Hampshire College back. Well, you were just being born.
Back when PJ Carlissimo coached one season of basketball.
That's true.
There.
He did. I actually started out at Duquesne University in Pittsburgh, and then I finished at SNU.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience. Both schools were great experiences for me. They had a great law school at Duquesne, so a lot of lawyer friends of mine.
All right.
And I have a lot of pharmacy friends too. So I appreciate you being here today. That was great. It's a great show. And like Donna says, but she's not here, so we'll see her next week. You've been wicked awesome company, Alex. Thanks so much for everything. I appreciate it.
You bet.
See you soon.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.